Welcome back. My name's Ryan, or RJR Productions, and today we're going to be making a tank trooper helmet, or juggernaut driver, or Imperial combat assault tank pilot. Not to mention, it's also made from cardboard. But of course, before we get into the build, I need to ask you to subscribe, because by the end of the year I'm hoping to get to 5,000 subscribers, and if I do, I'll be doing a helmet giveaway, so stay tuned for that if we hit that marker. Now with that out of the way, now we can get into making this awesome helmet.
So this is where I'm at with the tank trooper helmet. You can pretty much see it's just a piece of cardboard that goes all the way around this circular bit, and the back is 4 inches tall, and then it kind of just slowly moves down to more than that, and then at the front it'll kind of fit together like that. So we just need to add a piece of cardboard across it to give it that lens shape, and then we can start working on the side bits and the lip that moves all the way around to the back.
So at this point, what I was realizing is that it was just a little bit too small. So what I did was take out that support in the middle and then cut open the back side and add about 1.5 inch spacer, and that gave me plenty of room to add extra room for like my head and all that space. And then I just made a mock-up for the lip around the sides and the back, and then I just traced that out onto a fresh piece of cardboard, cut it out, and then glued it on both sides.
So this is where I'm at with the helmet right now. You can see that I've got most of this whole front area and lower area done at that. So what I'm going to go do right now is cover up some of the corrugation along these seams. Probably not this seam, I'm just going to put spackle there to fill that up. But these ones need to be filled, and then also the ones down here, I need to cover these all up. And this is what the piece looks like that I used to create these sides. You can see how I just glued on some pieces together, and I attached it to the helmet just as like a rough cutout, and then I peeled it all off and made one nice clean piece that joins at the back. So that's how I made this piece, the little lip around the bottom. So I'm just going to add some extra details, cover up the corrugation, and then we can start working on the dome.
The first thing I did here was add some cardboard, just a piece I peeled off the top to add to the seam to cover it up so it would look nicer and it would save me some time with spackling. Make sure that when you're trimming these pieces to actually use a very sharp blade, because that helps a lot. The next step I did was add the piece across the top to finish off the shape of the lens where the visor would sit on top of. And then I built the framework where the dome would sit. It's pretty easy, just hold a piece of cardboard to the side profile and then the front profile, and then hold those up and glue them in place so you kind of get the two overlapping bits. And then I cut out a very long strip in the way that you'll be seeing in a little bit for making the dome. Pretty much all it is a 2.5 inch wide strip, and then on 1/2 inch in on each side there's marks, and then every 1/4 inch along that piece there is also marks, and pretty much you cut those outside edges, and then you're able to glue it together in a way where it folds up and looks really nice once you spackle over it. You want to add this piece from front to back and then from corner to middle, but you don't want to do this one from side to side. From side to side, you want to take a 2-inch piece and just do nothing to it. Just curl it up and glue it on. And then for those little wedge pieces, just hold up a piece of cardboard and then it'll fit over that edge, and then just trace it out on the inside and then cut it out and glue it in. I started working on that big shield thing that sits on the top of the helmet. I have no idea what the use of this thing is, but it makes the helmet look a whole lot cooler. Pretty much I just cut out the rough shape I think it would be, and then I added some darts across the top so it would fold up and act as kind of like a nice curved shape across the whole piece, and it would look much better than if it was just flat. And then I needed to add a second layer to it so you could have that channel running across the bottom, and then also that little semicircle across the top. I guess that's a good word for it. So pretty much I traced out the same shape, just made it a little bit shorter and cut out that semicircle shape. And then I cut that out, glued it up, and then glued it onto this piece, and then I just took a small little ring and glued that onto the bottom. And then I started working on these little vent things that were on the sides. Pretty much what it is, it's just like a rhombus shape that's cut out of the side, and then you want to cover up all the corrugation on that piece, and then do the same thing on the other side, and then just glue a piece of cardboard behind it.
So this is where I'm at with the helmet right now. You can see how it's going. Pretty much I have that almost all done. I'm working on these small little side details right now, and then I have this one over here to do, and then I still have to do the back of the dome. But what I'm really happy with is how this visor piece looks that goes on top of the helmet. That just sits there, and I think it looks really good. So I'm really happy with that. Obviously these seams will get spackled over, and at the back I have little plates so it sits decently high off the helmet. So I just got to add a couple more of the details. Some of like the small panel lines, especially down here at the back, those are just going to get added on after I spackle. Same with the seams that run along the top of the helmet. But I'll cut back to the time lapse after I have this piece done. So I'll be doing all the smaller details and also the back of the dome in the next time lapse you'll be seeing. So now I'm back with these details all finished up, and we're going to work on the back of the dome. After we do this, we just need to add a bit of support on the inside edge of this, and then we can go outside and spackle after covering the corrugation, which is just covering up all the gaps with some spackle, and that'll fill it in, make it nice and smooth after we sand it down. So if you're wondering how the dome works, it's pretty much just a 2.5-inch strip with a bunch of little slits in it that goes all the way across the whole piece. So right now, I'll cut back to what that would look like.
So this is what the piece looks like. It's just a bunch of slits, and basically how I measure it out is I take my ruler, I put it on, and it's every half ruler length I draw a line, and then you just cut all the way through, and then you curve it up, and both ways too, so you need to curve it this way as well, and then you can just glue those all together and then attach it on the dome. So pretty much I'll just be back once I have the whole dome finished, because these pieces, when you fill in here, are pretty self-explanatory. Just take a piece of cardboard, fold it over, trace it out, and then glue it in.
So this is what the helmet looks like right now with this top visor thing on. I don't know what it is, maybe it's like a shield that you put down. But whatever it is, this is all done, and the helmet is now all completed. You can see that I got the whole dome done. So now all that needs to be done is spackle it. You can see I've got the whole bottom done as well, so that looks really nice. So pretty much what spackling is, it's just like a thing that you put on your wall to cover up the holes. You can actually see I have some right there. It just fills in holes in the wall. So this one I'm using is called flexible spackle. Basically, it just allows for a little bit of movement. It can still crack, so be careful of that. But pretty much, I'm just going to be putting that all over the seams and covering up most of the surfaces, like this whole thing at the back, most of the sides, and definitely the whole dome. So I'll go cut to me spackling.
All you really need for spackling is a cup of lukewarm water and then your spackle. You're just going to apply it with your finger all across the whole helmet, making sure to fill in all the gaps and provide even coverage around the whole thing to where you're kind of covering up those mistakes and seams that you don't want to be there in the final product.
So now you can see the whole thing's nice and covered with spackle. We got the whole helmet covered and also the little face shield covered. So I'm just going to go outside and hit these with a little bit of sandpaper, and then I'm going to go back inside, add down some of the smaller details, and then we can paint it the primer color.
And apart from the building process, this is the second longest bit for the whole helmet making. Pretty much you're just going to want to take some sanding paper. I took 400 grit sandpaper, and you're just going to go around the whole helmet making sure to smooth out all of it. You can totally do this with a lower grit. I used to do 220, but I ended up moving up because I thought it would be smoother. Then after that's done, I go over it with some 2000 grit sandpaper. And now we're back inside and we're adding all those small pieces to it. There are a lot of small little greebles around the whole helmet, so just make sure that you find a good reference image. There aren't very many reference images out on the one from the Mandalorian, but it's the exact same helmet from the Tank Trooper and Rogue One, so I definitely recommend looking up pictures of it. Even though it's not the right color, it's the exact same details.
So you can see here, all those small details across the whole helmet are attached with these small details at the sides and also all the details at the back. So now what I'm going to do is go paint it all with a filler primer and then paint it that primer color for the final color of the helmet.
The first layer of paint I did was with filler primer. Now what filler primer does is it pretty much goes in all of the smaller gaps and just fills them out. So if like you have a small crack, just try to apply a little bit more of the stuff in there, and then it should work very nicely. Also make sure to apply this on not just the helmet, but also that face shield, because you want to cover up some of the small seams in that. And then I just took some regular primer because this is the perfect color, and I just painted over the whole thing. Try to avoid runs, so the best way to do that is light coats. I only had to do one coat because I'm awesome.
So now we're back in from painting, and this is what the helmet's looking like. So pretty much what I'm going to start working on right now is just adding some black around some of the pieces. And these need to be painted fully black, and then pretty much in all the gaps there just needs to be some black paint. So that's what I'm going to work on right now. Same with the visor that goes on top. That needs to be black as well. Just the little grooves inside of it. Just paint some black in, wipe it off, and it should be good. I'm just going to do that around all the gaps, and then I'll be back once I'm done. So So now you can see I've done a slight amount of brown weathering around the edges, kind of just like along the sides, and then in very sparse areas across the whole helmet. So what I went ahead and did was just scored up the front of the helmet. You can kind of see right here there's a little bit of a rough area, and then also on the bottom of this where it's going to attach. I just took my knife and scored it up. So now I'm going to turn my hot glue gun to the high setting, because that's very important, so you have enough time to apply loads of glue, because you definitely want it to stick, and then apply it on and hold it in place until it fully dries. And then after that, the only step to do is weather the little greebles that go down here. So I'll show you those real quick. I just made this one in the middle with a little bit of cardboard. Pretty much all it does is just sit in the middle here, like so. And that looks pretty nice. And then for both sides, I have a little bit of corrugated cardboard, and this will just sit over these edges right here. So I need to go ahead and dry brush these, and then we can go ahead and work on the lens, and then that'll be it. So now that everything is all weathered and attached on the helmet, you can see here, pretty much all that needed to be done was work on the lens. So pretty much what I did is I made the lens. All it is just a piece of plastic with a little bit of window tint on it. So all you're gonna need to do this is just a squeegee and then a bottle of a little bit of soapy water. You just spray it on there, peel off the protective film, apply it, and then squeegee out all the bubbles. So I'm just gonna go ahead and glue this in, and then that'll be it. That's the finished helmet.
Although you can barely see what I'm looking through right here, this is what it looks like when you look through the lens. I've been getting some comments about this, so this is what it's like. Now let's take a look at that helmet.
Thank you so much for watching this video on how I made the Juggernaut Driver or Tank Trooper helmet. This was really fun to make, and I was actually able to turn this build around in less than 2 days, around 36 hours. So I'm really proud of that. Today is Thursday, and this video is posted on Friday, and I started this on Wednesday morning, so I'm pretty proud of that. So I really hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see me make anything else, please comment it down below. Unfortunately, this is going to be my last build video of the year, but in a couple weeks I will have a recap video right before the year ends, so stay tuned for that. Again, make sure to subscribe to stay tuned for more future projects. This has been RJR Productions, signing off till next time.
Alright. Hey, I see you there. Michael. Subscribe. Come on. If you're wondering, the whole point of this thing is just to scare that one guy whose name is Michael. See you guys next time.